So if you've been playing Infinite Warfare lately, I'm sure you may have noticed that everyone is using the VPR SMG. The reason for this is the massive buff it received last week. It kinda went under the radar a bit, but now people have finally caught on. Unfortunately, there's already a nerf underway to make it less powerful, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So first up, the actual buff itself. As is normally the case, the patch notes don't elaborate very much, so unless some hand testing is done, people just go off their own feelings as to what changed. Now looking at the actual data here, it looks like the VPR got a whopping 10 buffs while also receiving 2 nerfs. Not since the Vesper in Black Ops 3 has such a massive buff been done on a single weapon. Now if anyone remembers that particular buff, it didn't last a single week before it got toned down quite a bit. So let's go over the 10 buffs and the 2 nerfs that the VPR received. First, the magazine size got increased from 60 to 80, essentially putting this into the LMG territory. On the other hand, its starting ammo got decreased significantly, from 240 all the way down to 100. The max ammo, however, got increased from 320 to 360. Now the next buff was huge. The center speed got increased from 1050 to 1500. Most people probably don't know what center speed even is. It's the speed in which your sights return to the center. So a faster center speed means the weapon will be easier to control and thus have less recoil. And anyone who's used the current VPR should feel this right away. It's now incredibly easy to use. It also received a 3% decrease to its overall recoil. Not a significant amount, but coupled with that center speed buff, it makes a noticeable difference. The ADS spread was also decreased from 0.25 to 0.15, further improving its accuracy. Surprisingly, the reload times were also buffed. The standard reload went from 2.9 to 2.35 seconds. The reload cancel time went from 2.2 to 1.8 seconds. And finally, the completely empty reload went from 3.1 to 2.45 seconds. Now lastly, the damage profile was also adjusted. The max damage increased from 15 to 18. The minimum damage also increased from 10 to 14. However, the medium damage range decreased from 700 to 600 inches. So what do those numbers actually mean? The new damage profile of the VPR means that it can take 6 shots to kill at best and 9 at worst. Now you may be thinking to yourself, that's pretty terrible. And in fact, it is. The VPR is the weakest gun in the entire game. So how is everyone able to do so well with it? The answer lies in its shooting mechanics. The VPR actually shoots 2 bullets at a time. So assuming both of your bullets hit, you'll be essentially doubling its damage output and cutting its shots to kill and time to kill in half. So instead of doing 18 damage at max and taking 6 shots to kill, it'll now do 36 damage and only take 3 shots to kill. So with all this in mind, the VPR now has the fastest time to kill out of all SMGs. And this is both at short and long ranges, which is astonishing if you think about it. Even more impressive is that it now takes 1 less shot to kill than all the other SMGs besides the HVR. However, it's also the 3rd fastest shooting SMG at 833 rounds per minute, which trumps the slow-firing HVR. Its only drawback is at medium ranges, where it has the slowest time to kill out of all the SMGs. So as you can tell, all these buffs make it absolutely reign supreme in the online community. You can cross-map people with relative ease due to the low recoil and fast long-range time to kill. If you factor in the ridiculously large ammo capacity, you can do some serious damage. So if you are already good at the game with a normal weapon, using the new VPR will essentially transform you from a Super Saiyan all the way to a Super Saiyan 3. Now with all that said, many people were outraged at this buff. I for one have mixed feelings. It's great to see a DLC weapon get such a buff to make it competitive with all the NV4 and K-Bar users. On the other hand, I think they may have made it a bit too easy to use. Personally though, I'd be fine leaving it the way it is, but I can see why a lot of people are upset. Whichever side of the fence you may be on, the developers are already working on a nerf to this recently buffed weapon. Ashton Williams, who is the community manager at Infinity Ward, said this on Reddit. We've been keeping an eye on these threads and comments. There will be some adjustments made to it over the coming days. Now, she didn't elaborate further than that, so I'm not really certain what they're going to do. All I know for sure is that it's definitely going to be toned down a bit. If I had to guess, though, I would think they'd give it a bit more recoil just to decrease those long-range capabilities, so that it doesn't have the fastest close-range and long-range time to kill. Again, this is just speculation. I don't have any inside sources to confirm any of that. But let me know in the comments how you'd nerf it, or if you'd even change anything at all. Are you content with another superpower weapon entering the mix, or would you rather they tone it down a bit? Regardless, I'd suggest you use the VPR in its current state as much as you can. It's only a matter of time now before it gets Lucille'd into oblivion by the nerf patch.